What's up, everybody? We're back with another video. We're going to be talking about the University of Texas today, and I'm going to open it up with a question. And the question is, do y'all think Quentin can stay healthy for a complete season? And if he cannot, does that open the door for Arch to come in and take the job? Now, I'm going to let that kind of settle in for a little bit. Y'all go ahead and hit those comments and let me know what y'all think about that question. But now we're going to go ahead and dive into the University of Texas. When it comes to the University of Texas, they're probably one of the most complete teams in college football right now. When you look at the whole college football as a landscape, they're probably the most complete team across the board. And when I start diving into the questions of what this team could really be like, it's more or less of, can they find the personnel for these positions, and more of the fact, what would the personnel really play like? What would the players really perform like on the field? So, in the two biggest groups that question goes towards, and it's kind of directed at, will be the defensive line and the receiving corps. When you look at the defensive line, they're probably one of the worst defensive lines in the Big 12. They're towards either middle or bottom of the pack in the entire college football landscape. But they bringing back really experienced guys. Ethan Burke, he's an honorable mention All Big 12 player. He has shown the capability to disrupt passes, but he has not done it at a very high level. But what he brings this year is that experience. He's been with the team, he's trained, he's shown a really good spring game, and his tag team partner, Alfred Collins, it looks like they have a formidable, dynamic duo right there. And then you add in that transfer, and Savea, probably messed up his last name. I'm going to attempt his first name. Taileo Savea. I'm really bad with those names. I'm sorry. Apologize right now. But he's an experienced guy from Arizona and UCLA. He's has years on his belt. Same thing with Collins. He's experienced. He hasn't got a lot of minutes because of Murphy and Sweat, but they're in the NFL now. He has the opportunity to kind of take over. When you look at Ethan Burke, he's probably going to be the captain of that defensive line. He's got the most gameplay. He played 13 games last season. 9 of them was starts. He had leading the team with 5.5 sacks. Now that's a low number, and you're leading the team with 5.5. It's kind of not impressive, but that's where all the training comes in. And one of the most highly recruited athletes and edge rushers in this year's draft class, with Colin Simmons coming over. A lot of people don't expect him to start. In my personal opinion, I think Colin Simmons is going to start. I believe that the defensive line will perform a little bit better, but I think that's going to be the weakest part of the team. And if Colin Simmons, he's very inexperienced, obviously, but he has a lot of talent. He's probably the most talented guy on that defensive line. And if he can really show out, let's say he has 5, 6 sacks, and Ethan Burke really jumps a level, you can probably look at a national championship team with the University of Texas. Now, I will say the most pressure will probably be on Burke because he's been there the longest and it's kind of time for him to perform. But there's a lot of pressure on Collins. He was behind Sweat, he was behind Murphy, and those two interior guys, they were probably two of the best interior guys over the past 2 or 3 years in college football. And we've seen that when they went into the draft and where they went. They were probably two of the most talented guys. When you think about interior defensive lines, their names up there on the list. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about the list, but their names are on that list. So Collins has to really step up and fill in that gap that is there. I believe Collins can do it. I believe Simmons, Alfred Collins can do it. I believe Colin Simmons can really bring a new level to the squad. I think the biggest hindrance to what that defensive line could look like is how Ethan Burke performs throughout the season. He's going to really be a big staple to that defensive line. You need 2 premier edge rushers and 2 great interior guys. I think their interior is kind of solved. Now it's that edge presence. I think Colin Simmons, he's going to really fill in that edge. And if Ethan Burke can perform, I say 9 to 10 sacks this season, generate some high pressures, put up his tackle marks like he's doing. The pressures is the key point. All right. The pressures and hurries is the biggest key point. If he can do that, I think this defensive line will be fine. And you will see a national champion at the end of the year being called out, being the Texas Longhorns. Now, I'm going to stop the video here. I'm going to break it up into 2 parts. So I'll see y'all when I tune in with the receiving corps.